Welcome back to another Food is Medicine recipe. Today's recipe is keto snack bars. You might be wondering, how can a snack bar actually be medicine? Stick with me all the way to the end though, because you're going to learn several ways that this snack bar can also be medicine. I'm Dr. Joanette, longevity specialist, ER doctor, and also a professor of medicine and a Blue Zone native. Let's get baking and make this keto snack bar recipe. To get started, we are going to go ahead and preheat our oven 350 degrees so that it'll be hot when these are ready to go into the oven. And I have here a mixing bowl. To that, I'm going to add all of my dry ingredients first. I'm adding, these are easy to remember, 1/3 of a cup of everything. 1/3 of a cup of coconut flour, 1/3 of a cup of keto wheat flour. If you want to know where you can get all of these different flours, scroll down to the description below. I got a link out there. I got you covered. 1/3 of a cup of almond flour and 1/3 of a cup of hazelnut flour, 1/3 of a cup of chopped macadamia nuts, 1/3 of a cup of dark chocolate. One of my favorites, 85% cocoa is what you're looking for. Or if you want to go higher, go higher. But it should be a minimum, it should be at least 85% cocoa. What that does is it cuts down on the added sugar. And this recipe, if we're going to make it as a snack bar, that's medicine, then we need to keep it keto and cut down on the sugar. And lastly, actually this is not 1/3 of a cup. This is 1/2 of a cup of your favorite non-sugar sweetener. In my case, this is allulose. Allulose is one of those rare sugars that isn't absorbed in the body. Actually, it is absorbed, but it can't be broken down and utilized in the body, so it just gets excreted unchanged. So it doesn't alter your sugar, your blood sugar levels. And lastly, I like to add a little spice. Spices that, spice is so good for you. Cinnamon especially. Cinnamon is great for your longevity, for your health. So I add a little apple pie spice. It's got cinnamon, cloves, little ginger. Ginger's good for you, good for your immune system. And we're gonna mix that. We're gonna mix that all up together. And that is pretty much our bar. Now all we need is some liquid, and we're gonna get it into our mixing pan and get it into the oven. But it's gonna have on top of it a nice praline topping. So I promised you, why is this bar actually medicine? It's medicine because when we limit our carbohydrates, when we limit our sugars, we also reduce inflammation. When we have a big sugar load, our body works really hard to handle that blood sugar. It'll spike up and our insulin grabs it, runs it around with it, stuffs it wherever it can. It stuffs it in our muscle, stuffs it in our liver, stuffs it in our fat cells. And as a result, they get overwhelmed with all that sugar in them. And the powerhouses, the mitochondria, actually will begin to shut down. And when they begin to shut down, our cells become underpowered. When our cells become underpowered, then we get inflammation. We get inflammation in our joints, inflammation in our organs, inflammation in our tissues, and inflammation is aging. So eating food that is low in carbohydrates will not spike our blood sugar. We are decreasing inflammation in our body without actually taking any anti-inflammatories. Anti-inflammatories are things like ibuprofen, and they're hard on our gut. They do a good job of inflammation, but why not just eat foods that will decrease inflammation by not spiking our blood sugar? Time to add the liquids to this recipe and get it in the oven. So I've got here 7 tablespoons of melted butter and 1 egg. We're going to mix that all up together, and it'll form like a kind of a moist, almost like the consistency of a cookie dough. I almost forgot. Everything is a little bit better with a little salt. I usually use salted butter when I cook. I know a lot of people don't use salted butter. I like to use salted butter, and then I don't add quite as much other salt. But in this case, I do like to add another like 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Salt always helps balance the sweetness and, in my opinion, brings out the flavor in your recipes. We've got some nice dough going on here, and I have a pan, a 9x9 inch. You can use an 8x8 inch. It makes them a little bit thicker pan, and I've lined it with some parchment paper, and this is going right in our pan. And I just press it right down into the pan. Love seeing all that yummy chocolate and those macadamia nuts. This is such a great bar. If you're in the mood for a snack, all of the nuts add such good healthy fat, helps control your appetite, doesn't spike your sugar. The chocolate is great for your brain. And if you wanted to make it even healthier, you could cut out a couple of tablespoons of the butter and substitute in some MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil, which comes from coconuts. Little healthier, decreases the butter and as little healthier fat. MCT is a good fat because it breaks down into ketones. Ketone bodies help giving our brain energy. When our brain has enough energy, again, it reduces inflammation. Inflammation in our brain leads to things like Alzheimer's, dementia. So anything we can do to decrease that inflammation is always a good idea. Let's get this in the oven and get it baking. We're going to bake it for 10 minutes. If this video has been helpful and informative so far, thank you for subscribing and clicking that like button. When you subscribe, it helps me continue to bring you science-backed food is nutrition recipes for healthier life and longevity. While those bars are cooking in the oven, they're 10 minutes or so, let's go ahead and make the praline topping. We're going to start with a cup of pecans that have been chopped up and a third of a cup of your favorite sweetener, whatever that might be, and 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Super simple. And I also like to add a little pinch of salt. Mix this all up, and we are going to get that onto our bars that are just finishing. It's that kind of like, either could dump it on and spread it around. I like to kind of just use my fingers. As a kid growing up, I loved making mud pies and playing with food and cooking and all that good stuff. So I'm a tactile person. Some people are visual, some people are tactile, some people are emotional. Just depends what your preference is. Get that all on there. Spread it around, kind of press it in a little bit, and back in the oven for about another 10 minutes, 20 minutes total approximately. And once they're cooked and cooled, they are ready to eat and enjoy. I would store them, you could store them in an airtight container at room temperature for probably 2 to 3 days. After that, I would freeze them. So if you're not going to eat them all within 2 to 3 days, I like to pop them in the freezer. And when I want one, I take it out, let it let it thaw for 10 minutes. I like to pop it in the oven for another 2-3 minutes at 350, heat it up, warm it up. It's delicious that way. And either that, you can also enjoy it just room temperature. It's also delicious. Let's give one of these bars a try. Very chewy, delicious. You might be wondering, are they really keto? Let's check our continuous glucose monitor and let's take a look at the graph of it. I ate one of these bars, monitored my sugars with my continuous glucose monitor, and let's see how it looks. For the Keto Praline snack bars, my glucose began at 86 1 hour after eating the snack bar. It was 88, and 2 hours later, it was back down to 86, demonstrating that the Keto Pecan Praline snack bars are keto-friendly and do not significantly change my blood sugar. Thank you for watching and joining me today. I hope this recipe inspired you to really begin to think about how your food is also medicine and how you can make better choices for your body and for your longevity as well as your health. Go to my website, growwithdrjoanette.com, where you'll find the full recipe as well as lots of other food is medicine recipes. And we'll see you next time on the Dr. Joanette channel. Thank you for joining me today.